Meeting of the City Council on Monday, April 10th, 2023. I now call this meeting to order at 6:30 PM. If you would call the roll, please, Ms. Clerk.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Claudia Arona.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Elizabeth Arona.
Here.
Mayor Infante.
Here.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, if you'd lead us in the pledge, please.
Please face the flag, put your hand over your heart, and say with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We now have some proclamations that I am going to bring to you. I have 4 of them. I would like to start with the Donate Life Month proclamation. Whereas organ, eye, tissue, marrow, and bone donations are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need. And whereas more than 100,000 individuals nationwide and more than 20,000 in California are currently on the National Organ Transplant waiting list, and on average, 17 people die each day while waiting. And whereas the need for donated organs is especially urgent in Hispanic, Latino, and African American communities, and whereas a single individual's donation of heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives, and whereas donation of tissue can save and heal lives of more than 75 others, and organ donors saved more than 42,000 lives last year, the most ever. And whereas any person can register to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor regardless of age or medical conditions, and being a registered donor does not impact the quality of life-saving medical care a person receives in an emergency. And whereas California residents can sign up with Donate Life California Donor Registry online at any time by visiting www.donatelifecalifornia.org, or for Spanish speakers, www.donevidacalifornia.org. And California residents can sign up to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. And whereas California residents interested in saving life through living kidney donation may visit the www.livingdonationcalifornia.org. Now, therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Mark Infante, along with the City Council of the City of Solvang, California, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as the DMV/Donate Life Month in the City of Solvang. And in doing so, we encourage all Californians to check yes online or when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID card at the DMV. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and have caused the official seal of the City of Solvang to be affixed this 10th day of April of 2023. I have Mr. Scott Burns. Here, sir, is the proclamation. You're quite welcome, and we'll get a picture if we may. We have to do that. You can take a picture of them. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let me say a few words. First, I was in Lompoc doing this same thing, but I brought my grandnephew with me, and everybody wanted to take pictures of him, so that happens. Anyway, my name is Scott Burns. Memorial Day 2015, I'm at a friend's sailboat at Santa Cruz Island. We're at Fry's Anchorage, and coming from the back, the Santa Barbara Harbor Patrol comes up and goes, "Mr. Burns, we have a kidney for you." So I had kidney failure in 2012. I ended up on the waiting list for a new kidney. I wasn't expecting the Harbor Patrol that afternoon because normally it's about 7 years after you get on the waiting list to get a kidney on it. But I was happy. One thing, as we mentioned, about 20,000 people in California are on the waiting list for a kidney or another organ transplant. Santa Barbara County, there's probably 250 people. So it is a lot of people. But enough numbers, let me talk a little on some other issues. The Harbor Patrol picked me up, got me home. I ended up at Cedars-Sinai Hospital that night. The next morning, I had a fully functioning kidney. Kidney I got from a lady by the name of Vivian Boutel. She was a nurse at Cottage Hospital. She had collapsed at her gym, and they thought it was a stroke. It turned out to be a brain aneurysm. But that's part of the story. The other part is, not only did I get a kidney from her, 4 other people also got life-saving organs. One got heart, liver, lungs, and another kidney, 5 different people from that. And I'm going to read a couple of paragraphs from a letter that the person Michael got from, he's the one who ended up with Vivian's liver. So let me just make this, it'll be short. Dear friends, this is the most difficult thank you letter I have ever written. I have had opportunities to thank people for many reasons, but how do you thank for life itself? Without your kindness, I would not be here writing this letter today. My name is Michael. I'm 57 years old and in California. In May 2014, I was diagnosed with an incurable form of liver cancer. My only hope was a liver transplant, and I was put on a waiting list until a suitable donor could be found. Those were long and difficult weeks for myself and especially my 4 children, who were devastated watching their beloved father wither away in pain and anguish right before their eyes. And then the telephone call came. An angel had been found, someone whose family was willing to make the ultimate gift of life itself. I thank the Almighty that my transplant was successful, but more importantly, I thank you every single day for what you have done for me and my family. I am truly sorry for your misfortune, but hope and pray that you will find comfort in the knowledge that you have restored the life of another person and brought relief and comfort to a grief-stricken family. Our thoughts and blessings are with you, whoever you are and whoever you may be. Thank you for the gift of life. I read that to remind people that while we're numbers, we're actually real people. So whatever you guys can do, and you guys back here too, can do to promote organ transplants, it really is beneficial and it really is helpful. I'm here if there's any other questions. Otherwise, thank you. At the end of the month, this will go out on a run walk. It'll be shown in Los Angeles with other cities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Scott, just as a note, David and I were comparing, we both have driver's licenses with a little red dot on it that says we are organ donors.
Good, thank you.
All right. Another proclamation then, please. This is Fair Housing Month. Whereas the Fair Housing Act, enacted in April 11th of 1968, enshrined into federal law the goal of eliminating racial segregation and ending housing discrimination in the United States. And whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, familial status, national origin, and disability, and commits recipients of federal funding to affirmatively further fair housing in their communities. And whereas the City of Solvang is committed to the mission and intent of the Congress to provide fair and equal housing opportunities for all, and whereas our social fabric, the economy, health, and environment, are strengthened in diverse, inclusive communities. And whereas more than 50 years after the passage of the Fair Housing Act, discrimination persists and many communities remain segregated. And whereas acts of housing discrimination and barriers to equal housing opportunity are repugnant to the common sense of decency and fairness. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Mark Infante, along with the City Council of the City of Solvang, California, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as Fair Housing Month in the City of Solvang, as an inclusive community committed to fair housing and to promoting appropriate activities by private and public entities to provide and advocate for equal housing opportunities for all residents and prospective residents in the city of Solvang. In witness thereof, I have hereby set my hand and have caused the official seal of the city of Solvang to be affixed on this 10th day of April, 2023. Elizabeth?
I'll stand my spot. Don't blow me photo. That's my take for me too. Yeah, I brought my own paparazzi. I don't have staff press photo skills. I know, like, let's get somebody with a more current camera. I use portrait mode. There you go.
You want to say a few words?
I'll be very brief. Thanks, guys. Elizabeth Breen, San Ynez Valley Association of Realtors. First, I just want to thank you guys for, again this year, reaffirming this commitment. Housing has been a huge issue, obviously. Regardless of how little we have, I think the idea that we reaffirm every year that what we do have is available to everyone is very important. The Association of Realtors, national, state, and the local level always reaffirms that commitment, and we do a lot of education with our realtor members regarding that. I want to put in one little plug before I sit down. Both City of Solvang and City of Buellton have in their housing element that in the next 5 years, they will have a fair housing event of some kind. We can get funding from the National Association to promote that event on behalf of any organization, and we'd love to partner with both cities in that, and I don't think it needs to take 5 years.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay. Next, I would like to present another proclamation. This is the National Child Abuse and Awareness and Prevention Month proclamation. Whereas child abuse and neglect are a community condition and problem, and finding solutions depends upon involvement amongst people in the community. And whereas the effects of child abuse and neglect are felt by communities and need to be addressed by the entire community, and whereas the San Ynez Valley People Helping People and its Child Abuse Prevention Council partners have been committed to educating this community on child abuse and neglect, and are sponsoring several events throughout the month to heighten public awareness of abuse in the county of Santa Barbara. These events will provide information and materials that support families to prevent child maltreatment and celebrate people who work with and support children and families. And whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created amongst social service agencies, schools, youth organizations, religious organizations, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, the business community, and residents. And whereas all residents should become more aware of the importance of prevention in the community and become involved in supporting parents to raise their children in a safe and nurturing environment. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Mark Infante, along with the City Council of the City of Solvang, California, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as National Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month in the City of Solvang, and call upon all residents, community agencies, religious organizations, businesses, and medical facilities to increase their participation in the effort to prevent child abuse. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and have caused the official seal of the City of Solvang to be affixed this 10th day of April, 2023. And I'm going to present this to a Mr. John Crowell, I think.
I'll take two.
Oh, well, okay.
We don't want you to have the flu.
Yeah, exactly. You did, oh, you needed,
I brought props. I brought props first.
I'm sorry, Allison with you. Okay. Okay, you're going to be here with me? Cool.
There we go.
Wait a minute, I have to hold it for a
Okay, there we go.
Now I can.
Props are confusing.
Hold your eye out there.
Great picture.
Thank you. Oh, we've got another picture over here. Absolutely. You want to say a few words?
I'm going to say
there?
a few words.
Yeah, please do.
So we'll get pictures with your pinwheels too. Tracy, where are you? There we go. Because props are important. I want to thank the council for once again presenting this proclamation to CAPC, but also for my agency, the North County Rape Crisis and Child Protection Center. We're going to have people helping people. We're so excited to have here as well. The pinwheels are props. We decided in 2016, before COVID, 100 years ago, that we were going to take a stand and have something very visual regarding child abuse awareness, and hence the pinwheels. Since 2016, across the North County, we've planted well over 2,000 pinwheels. What do they represent? In the North County, in this region, or the North County, in the Lompoc-Santa Ynez region, there were 782 cases of child abuse investigated. That's not reported. Those are cases that rose to the level of being investigated. So again, 782. What we usually plant, what you see that people helping people planted, we usually plant 1 in 5. So it would have been 135, I think, this year or something. Something that I want to say about child abuse is that people are afraid to report or afraid to talk about it, but our CAPC partners, we believe in the resiliency of the family and of the child. And just because you're making a report doesn't mean that it's judgmental and bad. What it means is that we're going to work really hard to find the resources for those families and for that child to succeed. So.
Good evening, Erica Flores with Santa Ynez Valley People Helping People. I'm born and raised in the Valley, and when I became a mom, I realized that there was no better place that I wanted to raise her than where I grew up, and wanted her to be the 5th generation. I started with People Helping People in December 2020, when at least I thought we were at the end of the pandemic. And one of my first activities was at our Fulfill-A-Wish holiday boutique, where for the last 2 years, the city of Solvang have donated the Veterans Hall. And we've transformed that space where caregivers, parents, grandparents get to shop with dignity for their families and provide the holiday wishes come true and self-select. And we brought in new council member at the time, Clow, and Jenny McClurg from the city to come and see how we transformed the Vets Hall into the magic of the holidays. But what you didn't see beyond the decorations was that one of our case managers came up and said, I have a client that wants to say thank you, and I'll translate for you. And she said, gracias a Dios por people helping people. Thank God for people helping people. See, we had just helped her flee from domestic violence. Her and her kids were living in a car, trying to remote learn from a car, trying to get to work every day at a local supermarket. We put her up in a hotel. We helped secure the deposit and the first month's rent, helped ensure that they had groceries and prepared meals. It's kind of hard to do that in a car or a hotel, or even in a brand new apartment starting from scratch. And that holiday, we nourished her soul. We know that what prevention looks like and taking care of our community and our children comes in many different ways, and I want to thank the city of Solvang for that. For the last 10 weeks, had you been in our doors at night, you would have heard the laughter of children running down our halls, and you would have smelled the incredible food, like last week from Leonardo's, as we served family dinners, and 5 families just graduated from a 10-week class in strengthening families. They graduated from that. 3 of those families right here in Solvang. Preventing domestic violence and child abuse requires a multifaceted approach, from reducing stress in a home environment, ensuring that they have a home, behavioral parenting training, and enhanced primary care. PHP believes that everyone deserves relationships free from violence. In 2022, our staff recorded 82 incidences of prevention, 6 opportunities for crisis intervention, and assisted in filing 12 reports of child abuse in 2022. This month, we also honor those that are working on the front lines. And I want to thank our staff that are truly right there in the front of lines with dignity and compassion, building community and strengthening our families. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have another proclamation. This one is the Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. Whereas people of all racial, cultural, economic backgrounds fall victim to sexual assault, sexual violence, and widespread and impacts every person in this community. Rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment harm our community, and statistics show child sexual abuse prevention must be a priority to confront the reality that 1 in 3 women will experience sexual violence in their lifetime, and 1 in 4 men will experience sexual violence in their lifetime. And whereas rape and sexual violence of all kinds continue to occur at an alarming rate, with California having the most reported rapes in the United States, and with the Department of Justice stating that an American is sexually assaulted every 98 seconds in the United States. Whereas emotional and physical scars resulting from sexual violence are often permanent, therefore working together to educate this community about sexual violence prevention, supporting survivors, and speaking out against harmful attitudes and actions is so important. And whereas a coalition of organizations exist which directly confronts this crisis, including the North County Rape Crisis and Child Protection Center, law enforcement agencies, churches, healthcare providers, and volunteers from the community that serve these agencies who are helping in the effort to end sexual assault. And whereas prevention is possible when everyone gets involved in increasing education, awareness, community involvement, recognizing the compassion and dedication of the individuals involved in this effort, and noting the challenges of the victims, survivors of sexual assault, and their families and friends as they struggle to cope with the reality of sexual violence. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Mark Infante, along with the City Council of the City of Solvang, California, do hereby proclaim April 2023 as Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month in the City of Solvang, and in doing so, we urge all Americans to support the sexual assault survivors, including when survivors reach out and disclose abuse. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and have caused the official seal of the City of California to be affixed to this 10th day of April 2023. Allison. Okay, we get to get photographed again. This is yours to hold. Let's see who's taking pictures. Oh, start with Brad.
Once again, I would like to thank the council for this recognition. Sexual violence is something that is very difficult and uncomfortable to talk about, but it is very, very real across the board and across the county and the North County that we serve. Approximately, in the North County, we cover from the tunnel to the bridge and everything in between, including the prison and I almost said Air Force Base, but Space Force Base. But on average, we go out to accompaniments where someone is reporting an immediate assault about 80 times a year. Okay. I also like to say that that includes, of course, the Valley. That includes human trafficking, recent cases, just very recently of human trafficking cases, and abuse cases. It's something that we need to recognize. It only happens in girls, but it happens in boys. My former husband was abused severely as well. I've had male clients in my office that were not abused by other men, but by women and grandmothers. So all our presumptions need to change because it's across the board and across the spectrum regarding sexual violence. Something I'd just like to say regarding education, the North County Rape Crisis Center, we provide the child safe programs in the schools in the North County, the good touch, bad touch, and talk about sexual harassment and phone safety and internet safety and all that. one of the stories, we get many stories, but one time one of our presenters received a note from someone in the junior high class, and she had reported as a fourth grader, and she just said to our presenter, "Thank you for saving my life. I didn't know what was happening to me was wrong. Thank you for telling me what I was feeling was wrong. So education and communication is the key, and acknowledgement is the key. So I thank you for that. And along with the goodies of the pinwheels, I have an invitation if anyone is interested for our fundraiser on May 20th. So please pass the pinwheels and all the goodies that are inside to throughout the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now, at this point, normally we would go into public communications, but I'm going to suggest to the council that we make a small adjustment to our agenda. Item 6A is to introduce the contract for our new city manager. And he is here and needs to leave tonight and drive quite a long ways back to his home. And so in order to get him out of here in time, I'd like to move item 6A to next before we do public communications. Do I have any objections to that?
No.
No? All right, in that case, Madam Clerk, if you would read the title for agenda item 6A.
Mr. Mayor, do we need to vote on that?
I don't think so, we just all
Okay.
said yes.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Clerk?
Discussion and possible action to approve city manager contract.
Staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the council, before you tonight is a proposed employment agreement with Randolph Murphy, AKA Randy Murphy. After the departure of the former city manager in September 2022, the city council engaged in a recruitment through Ralph Anderson and Associates for the open position. City council had the opportunity to interview a number of candidates. Mr. Murphy is one of those candidates, and the city council has selected Mr. Murphy as the next city manager for the city. Mr. Murphy currently serves as the general manager for the Hidden Valley Lake Association in Northern California, which, if you know anything about the area, is, for all intents and purposes, a city about the size of Solvang. I think there's about 5,300 residents in Hidden Valley Lake. They have security, they have roads, they have water, wastewater. So that's Mr. Murphy's current assignment. He's also served for a number of other public agencies throughout California. I'm familiar with at least one of his colleagues at the city of Oroville, where he served as the city administrator as well. He's got 30 years of management experience and 20 years in the public sector. Pursuant to the Government Code Section 54953, I'm obligated to announce orally some of the high points of the employment agreement. This is something that is required by law. So the term of the proposed agreement would be a term of 3 years, commencing his first day on April 28th of this year and ending in 2026. Base salary will be $190,000 per year, with potential future increases based on similar increases granted to other management employees. The benefits would be the same as other management employees, such as health insurance, retirement benefits, paid time off, housing allowance, a vehicle allowance, and a technology allowance. And there's an opportunity for the city council to conduct a performance evaluation annually, at which time the city council could grant a performance bonus of up to $15,000. The alternatives for the council are to modify the employment agreement, but this option is not recommended in that we've spent time negotiating with Mr. Murphy, and he's acceptable. Mr. Murphy is here as well. The fiscal impact from the salary and benefits provided under this agreement are expected to be within available budgeted salary levels for the remainder of the current fiscal year, and additional funding will be added for fiscal year 23-24 as necessary. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions of anybody? In that case, I'd like to ask Mr. Murphy to come up and say a few words, and then we'll get public comment.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, and residents and friends in Solvang. I am very excited to be here. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to serve this community. As I expressed during my interview process, I have a passion for public service, and I'm looking forward to sharing that passion with the city here. As my time might indicate, I am a fan of the San Francisco Giants. Go team, we're playing right now against the local Dodgers. Hopefully we have some success. I'm encouraged, I'm excited. I bring a lot of energy, a lot of ideas. Had some conversation with Brad earlier today. I've talked with Scott over in Buellton. I met with Dean over in Lompoc earlier today. So I'm ready to hit the ground running on April 28th. So with that, I'm ready to rock and roll. I do have a 7-hour roughly drive home, so I appreciate you taking this early. I will be able to listen to the Giants Dodgers game on the way home, so that's good. And I got a 10 o'clock meeting in the morning, so I'll get a couple hours sleep before I have to go to work.
Thank you very much, Randy. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Any questions, anybody? In that case, thank you. I have one public comment slip for Miss Denise Elamine.
Hello, I'm Denise Elamine. Welcome, Randy. You were picked out of 60 people, and you're the best out of the 60, and congratulations to you. Glad to hear that you're going to hit the ground running, because you're going to need to be running when you hit it. Solvang has got a lot of issues up in here, but, you know, this is a great day. Everybody's happy about Randy, and let's see if we can keep this happy about Randy going. I know you're going to be sad to see Brad leave, but Randy, I'm looking forward to seeing you and working with you. You'll know me because I come in here every day. I'm looking for a job, but they won't hire me. So I'm going to volunteer. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment at this time in the public here? Anybody on Zoom? I don't see a hand. What? Okay. You want to, which one's first? Louise?
Am I up?
Oh, Sheila. All right.
Okay, this is Sheila Benedict. For those that don't know me, I spent almost 18 years as the archivist historian at Mission Santa Ynez. And the only comment I want to say is the man has excellent credentials. He's worked in every phase of it. But I want to remind you that from 2001 to 2023, he had, that's 22 years. He had 11 jobs in 22 years, which means that he averaged 11 months on the job. Now, this is a great contract that we are offering him, and I hope he plans on staying more than 11 months in our beautiful little community. That's what I have to say.
Thank you very much, Sheila. I think we had Louise Smith, was it?
Hi, everybody.
Oh, hi.
Just want to thank you, Mayor Infante, and the city council members. I'm Louise Smith, a resident of Solvang and a current tourism advisory committee member. I just want to say that with just 4 meetings under our belt, the TAC has lost our chairperson, Vashti Wilson. We were informed of the abrupt resignation from the city's marketing agency, which was the Abbey Agency, as well as the unexpected, at least to me, the unexpected resignation of the city's marketing manager. And this has happened all while city staff and council are trying to hire a permanent city manager.
Well, it's
I want to commend Chairperson Wilson for her investigation and due diligence in exposing possible billing inaccuracies with the Abbey Agency and offering to be on a subcommittee with me to audit $129,000 worth of invoices. But I'm not sure where the audit stands now.
Louise,
Yeah?
this was all about the new city manager?
No,
Item 6A.
no, sorry.
We will get to public comment in just a second, and we'll come back to you if we may.
Great, thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to make a comment on item 6A? What do you have there?
Just ask her to speak. You're ready to speak, Pixel 4A. I was talking to Mike, so I don't know.
Pixel 4A, go ahead. I can see your image, but I don't hear you. Do you have your mic muted or something?
There is no mic on here. Is that?
Mr. Pixel, are you there?
It's a miss, I believe, but isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, there's not a microphone emblem on her.
She has no microphone. She has no way of communicating with us. Okay, I apologize. There doesn't seem to be a
Oh, here,
communication.
it says connecting to audio now.
Oh, it's connecting now. Okay, good.
It's not coming.
We can't hear you at this point. Did we lose her? Or him? Or?
They shut off their video.
But it doesn't even okay. There's video again. Technology.
Pixel 4A, if you could unmute yourself, please.
I'm afraid we can't hear you. It says connecting to the audio, but it never does.
Pixel 4A, if you could log out and log back in, please.
Do we have anybody else, Brad, on there that wants to talk?
Vashti Wilson's hand is up.
Okay, let's go to Vashti then. This is for item 6A, the new city manager. Please go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to make a comment after reviewing the city manager's resume. As Sheila stated, most of the jobs in the past 22 years have been 5 months, 3 months, 7 months, 11 months. I believe Randolph has held a job for 3 years as over the Homeowners Association. But before that, the one city administrator job he was fired from after a performance review in a year and a half. After reviewing his resume, I do question the certificates, as I don't recall any certificates and when bad things happen to good people and some of the other certificates listed. I'm wondering how much due diligence was done to check those credentials. Also on the resumes, people typically do not put former and current professional affiliations, and the majority of those are no longer current. Yes, the degrees, the two were received from the University of Phoenix and Golden Gate University, but at this amount of money for a position in which this person has not held a position longer than 3 years and one time in over 20 years, I caution the city in doing that. And one would think that there would be a probationary period that was sufficient to see that we're not paying out another $250,000 as we did with the former city manager, or having to pay the 6-month severance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did Pixel 2A get back on perchance? No? Okay. I apologize. I guess if there's nobody else, Brad?
Well, Louise has her hand back up. I don't know.
But that's for public comment still, I believe. I don't think she ever took it down. Okay. In that case, we'll bring it back to the council. Questions, comments?
I do have some comments. First of all, thank you everybody for their comments and their input. The reason why we're all spending our time here this evening and looking at what the council is doing, looking at the applicant that is about to fill this position, is because we care about this town. And I truly believe that when people go into public sector, in a place where there's a lot of checks and balances, there's a lot of frustration from protocols and due diligence and being able to pursue careers that are profitable in the private sector. They will go in still in the public sector, despite all of the comments and scrutiny from the public, because they believe in the same thing that the public believes, that, you know, we deserve good public servants. And this was a very long, painstaking process. There were many applicants. Many were interested in the position, were not quite qualified. Some of them were making salary and benefit demands that we thought maybe were questionable for somebody that is just coming in. So we took the decision that we took, weighing a lot of pros and cons, and we decided that Randy was indeed the best candidate. This is no easy task, but I would encourage everybody to, realize that we're playing in the same team. We want this town to thrive and be supportive of not only Randy, but also the staff that is going to go through a transition. It's been going through a transition, and it's been a tough couple of years where we have gone through interims and actings, and it's time that somebody rises up and takes accountability and responsibility for this town. And I'm certainly very happy that all of you are willing to come in and speak up, because that is important, and that makes everybody's job easier and better. And I look forward to working with Randy. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I think my comments would just be, my mic is, can you all hear me?
Sorry.
I think Claudia articulated pretty well. I don't have much to add aside from what she's pointed out, and I'm looking forward to working with Randy, and hope that Solvang gives him a warm welcome.
Can I get a motion from somebody to accept this contract?
I will move to accept the contract for Randolph Murphy.
Second? Anybody?
I'll second it.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Elizabeth Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Infante.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, to get back to the regular agenda items, we're going to go to public communications. These are for non-agenda items. If you would introduce that, please, Madam Clerk.
The council welcomes your input. At this time, you may address the council on items not on the agenda and on consent. Time limit is 3 minutes. We will start with in-person comments first.
Okay, so this is for items that are not on the agenda or in consent, both at the same time. So you have a 3-minute time limit to address anything that's not on the agenda or in the consent item. The first person I have is Denise Elamine.
Hi, I'm Denise Elamine, and I'm here to talk about our old infrastructure. The waste plant that is being neglected. We now have a city manager, and we want to all get along so that we can all flush our toilets together, because when it backs up or when it breaks down, then Solvang won't be getting any tourism, and it doesn't matter what PR firm you hire. Money won't change it. So I'm thinking that you guys need to get together and try to work out our waste plant, because we are non-compliant from the state, and we have been non-compliant for years. And nobody talks about the waste plant. Nobody talks about wastewater. All we talk about is more tourists flushing the toilets and coming into Solvang. But when this poop backs up, it'll be too late to talk about it. There is a Flint out there, and there's Mississippi out there, and I don't think anybody would want to go and visit those towns. So please, it's very easy for Solvang to become a place where the wastewater is backing up into your sink. And I'm begging you. I live here, and I'm a very nice person, but if the poop starts backing up in my house, it's not going to be good. So I just beg you guys, can we all get along, and can we all update this infrastructure in Solvang, California, so that we can have tourists come in and they can flush their toilets and it doesn't come up in my house. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miss Susan Lee?
Hello, council members. I am Susan Lee, and I run the Visitor Center here in town. And I was asked to come and just share some numbers that we've been having in the Visitor Center, just to kind of give us like an estimate of where we're at, I think, as far as how visitors, the numbers are changing. And I don't want to go back too far, because I don't think if we go past, back past COVID, or even past really the last year, it's really pertinent with the way things have been changing. But I wanted to just give you a few numbers. So first off, I'm going to go back to December, because the numbers were incredible for EulaFest. And we did have a record amount of people in the visitor center in December, which for the past few years since I've been in there and known about it, we've kind of kept climbing. But we went from, in December of 2021, we had 10,798 visitors, which sounds like a lot, right? And so some days we do over 100 people in an hour in there. And then in 2022, so this last Christmas, we did 13,881. And so we were up over 3,000 people in the visitor center this Christmas, which is quite a big jump. Usually we're running around 10,000, at least in the last few years since we've kind of upped our game with EulaFest. So those numbers were great. And then for January in 2022, we had 5,302 people in the visitor center. In January of this year, we had 5,613. So about the same, just a difference. We were up only 311. And then in February of 2022, we had 5,746. And this year, we had 5,826, so we were up only 80. And then for March, we had in 2022, 6,412 visitors. And this year we had 5,970. So we were down about 442, but we did have the rain and the storms, which we have to take that into account too. I think the big thing we'll want to look at is April, which we don't obviously have those numbers yet, but typically we jump up quite a bit in April. So last year we had 9,301 visitors in April. So it'll be interesting to look at this year. I do not think it looks like we're on track to have that many people this year. So those are the numbers for this year going forward. We can see some changes. I want to just tell you some good stuff. Is that okay if I just take a minute to?
Yes, go ahead.
So those are the numbers, and I did present those to the TAC in a little more in depth, and with some. We also take an account of like people from different countries. So we like to see how many other countries we have visitors from. But I wanted to let you know about some of the good stuff too. We heard lots of good stuff with the proclamations, and I love that. I actually wrote down a quote from the people helping people, where she said, they nourished a soul. And I love that so much, because that's what we kind of try to do in the visitor center too. We're not we like our numbers and our data, but we're all about helping people. So I just want you to know what we're doing in there, what your money's going to, as also besides just answering basic questions. We do give out birthday buttons in there and anniversary buttons, and occasionally we'll even sing to people in Danish, happy birthday. If there's two of us, or my sister will do it by herself. I'm not usually brave enough to buy myself, but she is. And then we do also have these little, they say, I love Solvang on the back, birthday bears, or if it's like a special birthday, like someone's 95, or they come to Solvang every year. And also, you would be surprised how many times people need a bear hug when they come in. We actually get visitors who'll come in crying about they can't find their car, or they've lost their phone, or they're just, sometimes even they're here because they're coming back because this was their grandfather's favorite place to come or something, and it's their birthday, and they're passed away, and so they want to come celebrate them. So we give out bear hugs in there too. So we're all about the service and helping people. And on Friday, I had this really great, I had a really great, I'm going to wrap it up here.
Thank you.
Experience with an autistic young man who came in the visitor center, came around the counter and just started looking all over. And his dad said, "I'm sorry, he's autistic." I said, "No problem, don't worry." And he's like, accordion gone, accordion gone. And the dad ended up telling me that they came back, they were here quite a while ago, and this young man wanted to come back again to see the man playing the accordion. And they videotaped my dad, Dean, playing the accordion for this young man, he said, for about a half hour. And he said that watches that video every single morning. And they love Solvang. They love what we do here. And so I wanted you to know there are good things happening. There's positivity and good feelings in Solvang still. And thank you so much for letting us be a part of that.
Thank you very much, Susan. Appreciate it. Dr. Cynthia Matthews.
Good evening. Want to thank you for allowing me to come and speak again. Last month I came and I spoke on behalf of the Pride Rainbow House about the Pride flag. From my understanding, they may be resubmitting for a new flag as you had requested to make it more Solvang inclusive, to attract tourism and so forth. And I just encourage you if you could help support that, if it's something that you see viable for this community. I have to say, thank you, Zoom World. I have been stopped on the street by many people, majority of which are straight, giving their love and support for our community. And that means a lot to someone like myself. I'm an old lesbian, been around the block a long time. And as I explained, my wife of over 30 and a half years passed away last year. That's why I returned home, where my family's been here for over 40 years. And it is home. And people here are open and accepting and loving and kind. And I want to reiterate the thanks and openness that you've given my community. I appreciate that very much. And to those in Zoom World and those here, if you have any questions, I am approachable. You'll see me at the Maverick, dancing it up. I love to dance and have fun. And I can be serious at times as well. And sometimes we need that serious conversation. We need to sit down, see eye to eye. I'm going to give my phone number. I'm open. It's 352-843-4642. Again, it's 352-843-4642. The reason I'm doing this is because for people who are too shy to come forward but want to talk, people that may have issues, coming out issues that need to talk, I'm here for you. If you're straight and you want questions answered, I'm here for you. If you're angry about things that you see because of the media, I'm here for you. I'm open and willing to talk to you, and maybe we can come to a compromise to where we can collaborate and sit down. Many people said, I would love to be a part of a community gay straight alliance to see what we can do to support this community, because many children and young adults are wondering what they need to do. So please, I encourage everyone to reach out if they can and contact the Rainbow House. The people there are approachable. They're really neat people. And it's something that I really do appreciate this council for supporting in the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Patrick Henry? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm alive.
Well, I was trying to read you. I know the name is an interesting historical name,
Yep.
but I was trying to read your writing. All right, please go ahead.
Well, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Patrick Henry. This evening, I'm here as president of the Alamo Pintado Village HOA, also as a concerned citizen. As you know, January 9th, 2023, the Alisal River once again overflowed and scoured the riverbed, heading downriver with all kinds of debris that had collected along the way, and finally ended up stuck under the bridge at Highway 246, flooding out the Solvang Animal Hospital, the parking lot at Valley Fresh, and the Union Bank across the road. Afterwards, the County of Santa Barbara did the bare minimum, the least amount of work to reopen that clogged mess under the bridge at Highway 246 and Jim's Service Station. The county decided to just move the debris to the side of the riverbanks instead of removing the debris? Were they being lazy, cheap, doing the bare minimum? Is that acceptable? Do we just accept the bare minimum? And what happens when the next flood comes? And what season is next? It's the fire season. There are more dead trees and brush lining the banks of the river because they only contracted to move the debris, not remove it. I implore you, our elected officials, to do everything you can do, if it takes twisting the proverbial arms of our elected county officials, to get off their respective derrieres and remove the debris before the next flood, and certainly before the next fire, since those happen a lot more frequently than the rainfall. So we implore you, our elected officials, to do all you can to help all of us, to do the right thing, clear the creek bed, and keep us all safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sarah Holtz?
We were unaware that Patrick was going to speak for us. I'm also part of the Alamo Potato Village Homeowners Association, so I just want to reiterate that there is a lot of damage there. And to really, if you guys could help us find a way or which way we go, we're reaching out to everybody to get help with this. And if there is another flood, it's going to go right back into the bridge and cause damage again. And if there is fire, it's going to be devastating. So please consider how to help lead us and guide us in finding a way to help this situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That is all the slips I have for public communications on non-agenda and consent items. Is there anybody else in the audience? Mr. Beebe, would you like to speak to us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. Thank you for your service to the community. I just have a comment on consent item 4F. I only saw it a couple hours ago, so maybe I'm mistaken, but it's your decision to adopt a resolution for stage 1 drought conditions. That is what 4F is. And in Exhibit A of this resolution, it says we're asking for the citizens to have a voluntary reduction of water use by 15% from a benchmark year. Sounds good? And it says the resolution will establish the benchmark year. I couldn't find it. So and maybe it's there, but I don't think you ought to approve the resolution without establishing a benchmark year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good point.
Is there anybody else that wanted to? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Linda Rasmussen, and we were at the planning meeting last Monday night, and they're talking about building a 3-story apartment building at 420 Fifth Street. And we live on Oak and Fifth. They cannot build that apartment. They cannot approve it. And I don't know what we need to do to fight it. But are you aware of this?
We are not supposed to address your direct questions, madam, but the Planning Commission should be looking at this, and there is a 35-foot height limit in the city, which usually means you can't go 3 stories. But you'd have to talk to the Planning Commission about that.
Yeah, we have. Okay. So I need to go back to them and.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The traffic will not handle, they want to put 6 units in a place where 1 unit was, on a very busy corner. And I think most of you are well aware of that corner. It cannot handle additional traffic. And with maybe 20 additional people living there and cars, not going to happen. So, thank you for listening to me.
Thank you
We'll go
very
back
much
to
for
the
your
planning.
input. I believe at this point, if there's nobody else in the room, we go to Zoom, and I believe we had cut off Louise Smith. I apologize, Louise, but now is the time to make your comments and the general public comments.
Yeah, I'm sorry I jumped the gun on that. I apologize.
No problem.
So I just wanted to say again, I'm Louise Smith. I'm a resident of Solvang, and I'm currently on TAC. And we've basically only had 4 meetings, and we've lost our chairperson. We were informed about our city marketing agency resigning, the city marketing manager resigning, and now it looks like we've got a new city manager, so congratulations. But I just wanted to commend Chairperson Wilson on the TAC for her doing an investigation and doing some diligence in exposing possible billing inaccuracies with the Abbey agency and offering to be on a subcommittee with me to audit $129,000 worth of invoices. But right now I'm not sure where that audit stands. I also want to commend Chairperson Wilson for her expertise in marketing and social media and all her time spent with the city staff in understanding transitioning certain social media accounts and the importance of maintaining those platforms. I feel the TAC has lost a true marketing asset and hope that the city will pursue the investigation into the invoices, and if inaccuracies are shown to be true, to work with the Abbey agency on a potentially significant refund. I don't know the future of the TAC, and we'll probably find out tonight, but I must trust the city council to do what is best for the city of Solvang. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody else on Zoom that wanted to speak?
The Rainbow House.
The Rainbow House?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, Council. My name is Matthew Cavalli. I am the Executive Director of the Rainbow House, Inc. I'm coming tonight before you guys to ask to petition to bring the banners back for Pride Month. Last week, I received a text message from the mayor stating that he would not vote on this issue, nor would he bring it back. We met on Saturday and we had a discussion that it would be petitioned to bring it back. So I'm really hoping that we can stand to that word and bring it back before the council so that we could have a proper discussion and meeting about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody else on general comments on Zoom or? Okay. In that case, we'll bring it back, and it's now time for our item number 2, the city manager report and advance calendar.
Well, I'm glad to see you're going to have a new city manager because.
Don't tell me you're tired of this, Brad.
No.
Come on.
Yeah, my time is short, but I have enjoyed it. I was just going to go over a couple of the items on the next agenda. You're going to have a presentation on the Central Coast Community Energy, and that's a board that actually I'm on the operation board, and I think Councilmember Arona, Claudia Arona is on the government part of it. So they're going to present to you. I guess they do an annual presentation. This was something new after I left, but. And then last meeting, there was a request to bring the smoking issue back, but our planning manager was on vacation, so that'll come to your next city council meeting for that discussion on the potential smoke area. And you've got a couple of, you get your quarterly financial reports. There's a monthly stipend for DRC members, which never got approved years ago, so we're going to be bringing that to you. An amendment on the general plan consulting's contract, TAC update, and then the 2022 fire code adoption. And those are your items that should be on the next agenda as of right now. That concludes my report.
Questions from anybody on the council? Okay. Next, we've got item number 3, which is council comments and requests. Do any of you have a comment or request? Great idea.
I have a couple questions, actually, from some of the speakers, but it's a bit of a rundown, so we might cover a few things, if that's... First of all, I just want to thank Susan Lee for the numbers. Love the data.
Yeah.
Maybe we could also get that in some kind of report or tablet, because I'm worried I might not have gotten them all written correctly, but it's certainly data we are highly interested in. So thank you for that, and love all the really cool things the Visitor Center is doing for our guests. Also wanted to just revisit the Alamo Pintado cleanup. Can we get verification if the county is actually complete in their work? And I know they've been overwhelmed with storm response. Are they coming back, or are they end of job on the
Yeah,
cleanup?
I can definitely
Okay.
pursue where they're at.
So we don't know if it's end of their contract or if they're coming back. 'Cause I think there was some immediate storm
Debris removal,
response.
yeah.
But there's still a lot of work all around the county to get done, and I know it's probably going to be a few months before we get around to completing everything.
Yeah, I can reach out and see what the status is on their
We
cleanup.
also, if I may interrupt for just a second, we also got the request from CJ Jackson about that, the trimmings on there flowing down towards the ranch. So stuff that he had no responsibility for putting into the river or the creek, whatever you want to call it, I guess it's a river. It was going down to, and it was his responsibility to get it back out of there. And he has asked us to look into that. So I would like to see a staff report on what it would take to, one, inform all the citizens that live on the side of that they can't go dumping trimmed trees into the creek. And what is our responsibility for keeping that clean if it's not Caltrans?
And I did do a little research on the flood control agreement we have, and the county is responsible for those floodways. I think what the history has shown, and as the citizens have said, they may not be doing that great a job on it, but they are responsible for those floodways throughout the cities.
Everything down that creek, huh?
Yep. Yeah, that's in an agreement the city and county have from many years ago.
Do we have the opportunity to tell them we don't think they're done?
I'll review the document and see. I don't know that we have oversight over it, but we definitely can. Our disappointment can be sent to them.
Patrick Henry brought up a really good point, which is is it move the debris or remove the debris, right? So maybe it's some language in our agreements, but let's be really clear. When is it end of job? Because that debris is clearly what has backed up and created the flood problems to begin with. We can't have another round two when we've seen the consequence.
And I believe that Caltrans only got involved because it was flooding the highway.
The highway.
Yeah,
Because
so
of all the blockage, the water was coming up over the bridge, and so they got involved with cleaning up enough to make sure the water went through.
it's unique in that little stretch that runs parallel to the highway. They have responsibility, and the county has responsibility outside of that, is what I'm told.
Is that what it is? All right, thank you.
I think also it's a lot of, between the county, Caltrans, and the state, it's a lot of whack-a-mole because this is a once-in-a-generation storm that we've had, and obviously we were not
Ready.
prepared to get to every single spot that has a backup or a clog or a drain that wasn't cleaned, et cetera. So I'd like to get that information back, what more needs to be done. It is neat, though, that the Boy Scouts did contact a couple of us and said, can we volunteer these kids to come clean out these areas? And it's not something you want to have some 12-year-olds getting involved in, but it was really sweet and neat to hear the kids wanting to get involved and help Solvang. That's
cool.
Obviously for a badge, but as well as helping their fellow citizens and doing service to the community is pretty special. But with the storm that we had, who expected this is all I can say. And any more that we can get out of the state and get out of the county and get out of Caltrans should be pursued.
I'm sorry, Ms. Arona, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's good.
Well, I think we were just dovetailing what you were saying.
Everyone feels the same. That's good. I did want to come back to the water comments too. With regard to the wastewater management, I think we probably should get an update soon on
Yeah.
we are on the path for
Yes.
Right.
updates
We've been
and
engineering.
and
Yeah.
rebuild. And we also are on a path for grant for funding, in particular on the wastewater treatment.
Yeah, we had
plant
that
update.
planned to bring back to you.
Perfect. So just want to make sure, give everybody a heads up, it's coming, and you'll get an update. And then with regard to the, did you want to add it?
I was going to say, we've already got $15 million planned in a couple of years for the upgrade to the wastewater treatment plant. So that's all part of, it's been going on for a while, they've been engineering it for a while. This is something that has not been ignored at all. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, good. And on the benchmark year question, we work really hard to make sure that our communication about where we are with drought conditions and interpreting your water bills and where our conservation targets should be, but maybe still improvement still to be made on how we're communicating it. Our benchmark years were related as part of our water rate study. And also in your new tiering structures on your bills, you should see the 14 HCF is your target. So 15% conservation is from that original benchmark from, depending whether you're a business or a resident, from either 2020 or 2019. Those were the benchmark years. But I think we're going to hear from Jose in a little bit, so we can revisit that. But the reason we're asking for, we've moved to stage 1, and we're asking for voluntary conservation is because we saw responsiveness from the community, and that the conservation targets were working, and the behavior we were hoping for is actually showing in the numbers, and so we really trying to avoid a penalty as opposed to an incentive. And then I am interested, I think TAC is on the agenda later, so I am also interested in where we are with the, I'm going to stop calling it an audit. It's the easy phrase, but it has some only financial implications. So we'll call it an assessment and a reconciliation of the contract performance. And so let's leave it there. And then I would like to see the Rainbow House application brought back to the council for the banners. It looks like they've made adjustments and are quite cooperative in their approach and their ability to work with what the city's asking for.
Okay, so at this point, if we're going to bring this back, which is, I would agree with Ms. Rona, that I would like to see this come back. We have to vote on that if we want to put this on a future agenda item, to bring that new application with the new flag design, banner design. It's not a flag, my apologies. It's confusing enough without me screwing it up. Brought back. Go ahead.
I just need a consensus to bring it back,
Right.
so.
Yes, no?
Well,
I'd see
keep in
three.
mind that we do also, we have an agenda item coming back as it relates to the specific policy.
Yeah.
And
So
we're
we
still
could-
waiting.
You could do that in conjunction. You could do the policy
that
and
together.
then the request for, the re-request, I guess.
For the application, for the new, the modified application. The one thing that makes, sorry.
I don't think that's fair, guys. The guidelines for the banner are published and understood. If we wanted to revisit them, any applicant who comes in now should have a reasonable expectation of meeting those guideline criteria today, and they can't anticipate what future changes would be made. So if they have a viable application, it should be brought forward without regard to any future adjustments.
Okay, so you're talking about two separate
I sh-
elements in
we
the
should
future?
separate
One is for
them.
the application as the policy exists, and then to talk about the policy changes?
Yes.
All right, so one at a time. Everybody agree to bring back the new application for the light pole banners? Yes? Yes? No? Okay, that's 4-1, I believe.
Would you like it to include the crosswalk? Because they did revise that application.
The application, I believe, it eliminated the crosswalk.
It had it relocated. Only one and relocated.
Well, the banner policy, or the banner guideline program,
That's
they're separate. There's crosswalk is, singular and unique.
Yeah,
There's no guidelines for
I'm just
that.
asking if you want the crosswalk request also returned.
No, I don't, personally, myself, I don't want the crosswalk thing returned. The banner I want returned. Now, I'll have to ask you, crosswalk return, yes, no, no? Yeah, you'd rather, it's right. It's no?
Yes.
Yes. I say no for the crosswalk.
Okay,
So that's
so we're going to bring back the banner application.
Correct.
And then the banner process.
Yes,
Okay, separately.
yes.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement on that, except for Mr. Clark? Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, did you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
I
Thank
keep
you very
interrupting
much.
you.
I'm
All
on
right.
a roll. It's fine.
Anybody else have any council comments?
Yeah, real quick, if it's not any trouble for Susan Lee, I think by the end of this meeting, I'd like one of those bear hugs.
You want a bear? Well, okay. I have a couple of comments that I'd like to bring up. First, we just lost a resident who was very outspoken, very well regarded, and very well hated, depending on all of your points of view. Her name was Lammy Johnstone. She passed away last week. If you don't know Lammy, she was terrific. Very, very sharp lady. She was a very dedicated member of the city. She was responsible for putting up her personal money to make sure that we had a recall election on a council member that we did not like. So much so that 87% plus of the residents voted to recall him. So this is the kind of person Lammy was. She put everything out in front of her. I believe there will be a service at the Bethania Church on Friday. I do not know the time. Do you, Tracy? Are you aware? 11 o'clock? Thank you. But I would like to ask a moment of silence, please, for Miss Johnstone. Thank you. Thank you very much. One other comment. There've been a couple of meetings between Joan Hartman, our 3rd District Supervisor, myself, the Mayor of Buellton, CEO of the Chumash Tribe, SB CAG staff, discussing a pedestrian and bike trail from Buellton to Solvang. Now, this came up before on the north side of the river and really got people in an uproar. And now they're talking the south side of the river. And they have approval on almost all of the property to make that path happen. It will actually circumvent the wastewater treatment plant, believe it or not.
Is that an attraction in
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you ever seen the ducks in the settling ponds? Anyway. There have been several ideas discussed in the past, and now there's a possible pass on the south side of San Andreas River from Riverview Park in Buellton all the way to the Chumash Museum. That's kind of the thought process that we're going through right now. So I've been in these meetings, and they've been really spectacularly coordinated and comfortable with everybody agreeing on a lot of things. It's just that there's a lot of moving parts to it. There's a lot of property involved, and we'll see what happens. But I wanted you all to be aware that we are trying to get that done. Okay, fiscal profile for just a second. Revenue A, it was the tax measure A, revenue, that's been used all over the county. There's 2 areas that have been directly impacting Solvang. One is the San Ynez River Bridge, the one we were just talking about. That's going to be updated next year using Measure A money. That will include a bicycle path. So the bicycle path coming from the high school right now comes down to the bridge and stops. They will widen it out enough to put bicycle and pedestrian path on there is my understanding of the design. Also, there are Solvang circulation improvements that have been designed or that have been identified for several $100,000 worth of money involved with that. So, yes, we are looking at the finances, and there's some really cool things going on. Okay. Next, the consent items. Madam Clerk, if you would. Excuse me.
Consent is designed for routine administrative city matters and is approved by roll call vote with one motion. These items are discussed only on request of council members. Members of the public were afforded an opportunity to speak on consent items during public communications portion of this agenda.
Okay, anybody want to pull anything off of the consent items?
I just have one question. Did we establish what the benchmark year was when Mr. Beebe brought it up on item F?
We're going to talk about that later, aren't we? No?
No, if you want to pull that item, we have.
Okay, you want to pull that?
Utilities director.
It's a good point.
I don't want to pull it, do we know what the year is, just so it's clear when we approve the consent item that F is, we know what F is?
Okay.
I think someone's going to tell us.
So what I would recommend is putting the benchmark year as 2019, as that was the last regular water usage year for residents. And that's what was in there previously at stage 2.
Right.
And we made some modifications to that. But I would say use 2019 as the benchmark year. So if we can just amend the resolution, the last paragraph where it says, per city code section 9-3-3, which would activate voluntary water conservation efforts with a benchmark year of 2019.
And I'm thinking, what is the most favorable benchmark year for the residents to save the most money?
So there are no penalties.
Okay, thank you.
It's all voluntary.
Thank
But 2019 was the last regular water year, so
Okay.
that's why we would recommend
And
2019.
I have no other issues.
Anybody else? In that case, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the adjustment to that one item on the drought?
I'll make a motion to approve all consent items with the single change to item
F.
And I'll
for
second.
F. Thank you.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Rona?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Elizabeth Arona?
Yes.
Mayor Infante?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, I believe we're on 6B, 5A. My apologies, you're right. Would you please introduce that to us, Ms. Clark?
Public hearing to consider adopting resolution number 23-1212, approving the fiscal year 2023-24 list of projects to be funded by the SB1 Road Repair and Accountability Act.
Staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, Madam Clerk. So this is the kind of last meeting we talked about Measure A. This is another annual meeting that we have to talk about our potential funding and the accountability for this. So this is for SB1, Senate Bill number 1, which is the Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Accountability Act. So Senate Bill 1 went into law in 2017. It increased the gas tax by 12 cents and the diesel tax by 20 cents. And it funds multiple programs, state highway maintenance. There's quite a bit of maintenance that's been going on all around the state, not just repairing the storms, but prior to that, there was quite a bit of work. Rail and transit grant programs such as the active transportation program, which we're going to try to throw our hat into the ring pretty quick. And then the local streets and roads program, which is an annual stipend that we get, which is what this item is about. So there are some requirements. The funds it's heavily maintenance focused. We have to utilize these monies for maintenance unless our roads are in pristine condition. If we get our roadway condition index up above, I believe, 80, then we can start spending it on widening roads and doing other things, but we're not there.
What is it currently?
Currently, I don't have that exact number because we haven't put the new improvements in and turned the crank on the program, but I would estimate we're at about 67, 68 or so.
Ooh, we're really bad.
Yeah, actually, that's not too bad, considering.
All right, thank you.
So it is population-based, and our annual allocation next year looks like it's projected 143,872, approximately. And in addition to regular gas tax, our regular gas tax stipend, which is an additional 167,948 in is what we're projected to receive. So grand total of about just over 300,000. The projects, what we are required to do is we put a list together. We send it to the California Transportation Commission, CTC, and that's due to them, I think, May or June of this year. But we have to have a public hearing and a resolution, and there is some annual reporting at the end of the year. So last year, we were required to report the monies that we spent for the Alisal roadway work, and this next year, we will be reporting the slurry seal project that we did. So the recommendations, what we need to do is conduct a public hearing, which we're doing, discuss any project, anything you like in regards to this program, and direct staff otherwise if you say, I want these monies to go to a particular project, and then adopt a resolution approving a project list. Our project list includes what is in our annual CIP for this next year, which is the Solvang semi-annual road repair and maintenance project, which is currently in design. And what we're looking at is doing some sectional repairs and a wearing course on Alamo Potato Road, particularly Viborg North is in pretty rough shape. So we're looking to do some sectional repairs there and get that up to, improve it structurally as well. And then also sections of Viborg, which are starting to show some issues with the amount of traffic that receives. And then depending on if funding allows, we may include some other particular roadways in that. We'll see where the funding takes us. But with that concludes staff's presentation, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Questions, anybody? Oh, I have a bunch.
Okay. Ask away.
Okay, first off, I read you the Measure A funds that talk about Solvang circulation improvements. This came from SB-CAG. Where is that money going?
The circulation improvements, that's the $3 million that we have set aside?
Yeah, it's $3 million is set aside, $600,000 for the year, I think it is. That was 21-22, sorry.
Yeah, well, the annual allocation we discussed last, that was last meeting. We discussed our program of projects. So that project list, and that's going towards also this same project.
Maintenance.
Yeah, and it goes for roadway maintenance. There's also some other, some striping and some other city work that we do with our crews that we fund with Measure A as well. And the $3 million is our one-time Measure A monies that we have set aside. We're looking to, we're still reviewing where that money is going to go. I think 300,000 of it is slated to go towards the Alamo Potato Bridge widening, the Alamo Potato Creek Bridge widening. Also, some SB-CAG is bringing about 300,000 to the table on that, and then Caltrans is funding about 14 million of that. And that project is currently in design. Well, actually, they're doing the environmental right now. Yeah. It's slated to be under construction. They're looking at 2028, 2029.
Oh, it's that far out.
Yeah, it's that far out. But it is also going to widen. It'll widen the creek, but it'll also hopefully reduce the incidence of that creek clogging. I did have some discussion, and I forwarded some comments from the previous flood control director of flood control, the assistant director for the county. He sent me some comments, and I forwarded that on to Caltrans about trying to make it free and clear. He said the last time that did happen, I think it was 98 is when he said it, that did overtop as well, clogged with debris and kind of did the same thing. So,
do we do any kind of, you've got roadway maintenance in there, are we doing any kind of maintenance along the creek?
As Brad mentioned, that within the creeks are that's flood control responsibility. There's a bit involved with that. We can't just send guys down there and just thrash and I mean, if there's some environmental clearances that need to be obtained before you can even think about getting down there. And the county typically does an annual permit where they are able to do maintenance in there. We do not do that. That it takes a bit of doing, and it's just
So
not
the
really.
question, you talking about the Alisol work that was going on to repair the road, and we were supposed to, we authorized 600,000 or so for that.
That's
and we're
correct.
supposed to be repaid by FEMA. Do we have any update on the FEMA money yet?
We met with FEMA 2 weeks ago for basically the initial meeting, and to go over our project list. I now have my marching orders to get the list approved by them, and they should be out. We're targeting within the next couple of weeks to have them come out and review the locations. But basically, all the locations that we have identified are eligible for FEMA reimbursement. And then I think FEMA reimburses 75%, and then because it was a state declared emergency as well, I think the state kicks in the rest.
Oh, excellent.
That's my understanding.
I have to admit, I haven't driven down there in a while. How is the road? Is it back in shape? We do have 2 lanes yet?
Well, we do not have 2 lanes yet.
Okay.
The road is still a big compromise, but now that it's stopped raining, we got about a week and a half now where it's actually been kind of dry, so they're moving along with the work. But it is slow going. Based on the FEMA discussion, I would get a little engineerish here, but we had to locate the proper backfill dirt. We had identified certain stockpiles around, but in order to utilize that per federal guidelines, it would require archaeological review and all kinds of other stuff. And so it's like, nope, we got to go buy dirt from a certified
Dirt person.
dirt person, yeah, that has done all the environmental already. So we are doing that, and it's their money, their rules. So we're going by what their rules are.
Thank you very much, Roger. That's all I had. Does anybody else have any comments? In that case, thank you. I'm sorry. Do we have any public comments on this one? This is 5A, I believe, Denise Elamine.
I just wanted to know, how do we prioritize the roads that we're going to be working on? You mentioned that Alisol was on last year's before the floods, and did the floods wash it away and we're just building it back? Is that what we're doing?
This is
So I know, no, Roger, I'm just throwing it out there. Roger, I know he's not going to answer me back even when we're not in a closed session, so. I'm just wondering how we get our priority, because we're waiting on money to come back. If it doesn't come back, I'm sure we the public will never find out. So I'd like to know, how do you prioritize which roads, who gets first priority, and how do you do your pecking order? And if it could be put in public, maybe in one of the agendas, who's going to be next and who's going to be last, and some kind of order of where the money will be spent, because I believe that everybody should have get a slice of this pie or this money, and get all of the roads, some close to maybe you, but Alisol shouldn't get all the money and get all. I know they got washed out, but there's a lot of other people that got washed out too. So just want to make sure that you guys are equitable with that money, if we ever get it.
Thank you very much. Jim, did you want to make a comment?
I'm Jim Richardson. I was just going to tickle Brad's memory. There was SBCAG funded $600,000 to the city in 2015 or thereabouts. I hadn't heard that mentioned. That was going to be reserved for the Alamo Pintado Bridge. Is that still, or what, did the 600,000 disappear?
I do not recall that, Jim. You're tickling my memory. It's not coming back.
It all went to high-speed rail, Jim. It's all went to high-speed rail.
Was that?
It was generated, there were a couple $1 million generated in some of the projects at the time. that were cost savings, and we were allocated $600,000 of that.
That's 300,000 that SBCAG is.
Thank you very much, Jim. We appreciate the comments. We'll look into it.
I'm sorry, what, I didn't understand what he said.
Were we not to have a conversation? You're just giving us comments, and we'll go on. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, all right.
You know the rules, Jim. Okay. City Council members, any comments on this particular item?
I just made mine.
No?
Just make a motion.
So we need to have a motion to approve the Resolution 23-1212?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Arona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Elizabeth Arona,
Yes.
Mayor Infante.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Okay. we
Thank you, Roger.
did 6A, so we're on item 6B, I believe. If you would read that for us, Ms. Clerk.
Discussion and possible action to adopt resolution number 23-1214, adopting the 2023 City of Solvang Annex for identifying risk management and mitigation strategies and integrating by reference into the safety element of the general plan and approving the Santa Barbara County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Staff report.
Boy, the agenda item is almost the whole staff report.
Yeah.
So the city of Solvang recognizes the consequences of disasters and the need to reduce impacts of all hazards, natural and human caused. The discussion about the Solvang Annex was prepared in 2022 as part of the update to the county's multi-jurisdictional hazardous mitigation plan. And then this annex serves as what is known as the local hazard mitigation plan for the city. It was last comprehensively updated in 2017, and there again as an annex to the multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. So since 2017, when it was last adopted, the city has, I'll list the bullets, incorporated the LHMP goals, objectives, and mitigation actions into its local plans and processes, including the general plan safety element by reference and specific hazard planning efforts, that is, stormwater management program. They've also used the LHMP's assessment of capabilities, hazards, and vulnerabilities to inform planning, capital improvement programs, decision makers, and the public. They've also implemented mitigation actions through the city's general plan, capital improvement program, maintenance programs, grant programming, community outreach, and budget process. They also reviewed and evaluated mitigation actions before and after disasters, including the Alisal fire. Just to note, the federal FEMA has completed its review of the Santa Barbara's multi-jurisdictional hazardous mitigation plan for 2022 and has determined that the plan is eligible for final approval pending its adoption by the county and all the participating jurisdictions. So by approving this resolution today, you would be approving Solvang's annex to that. One of the things it does do is by tying it to our safety element of the general plan, we become eligible for additional funding from the California Office of Emergency Services under the California Disaster Assistance Act. And that's typically programs that are done after a declaration of emergency. Mitigation funds open up, and the city would become eligible for those. Similarly, this latest declared FEMA declaration will have mitigation funds available post the repairs of all the immediate dangers. So I'm here for any questions on that. This was actually done before I got back. It was a year-long process, and if you read it, interestingly enough, the 3 staff members are no longer working for the city that were involved in the preparation of it. But,
saw that.
But the county did want us to at least pursue the resolution to approve, and that's what you have before you, and I'm ready for any questions if you have any.
Thank you. Questions from the council?
No.
Do we have, I don't have any public comments on this one. Do we have anybody in the public that wants to make a comment on this issue? Do we have anybody on Zoom wants to make a comment on this issue?
No hands.
In that case, we'll bring it back to the council for a motion to approve the Resolution 23-1214.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 23-1214.
I'll second.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Arona,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Elizabeth Arona,
Yes.
Mayor Infante.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, now we get to item 6C, which is, if you would read that for us, Ms. Clerk?
Discussion and possible action regarding Tourism Advisory Committee and the Marketing and Events Manager position to provide direction to staff.
Well, that's me again. So at the March 27th, 23 City Council meeting, a request was made to schedule an agenda item for the next council meeting to discuss the status of the Tourism Advisory Committee and the Marketing and Events Manager position. So this report that I'm providing gives you the basic information for a general discussion on these two topics. Under the Tourism Advisory Committee section, what I've given you is the code section that lists its purpose and intent, and also the 6 duties and responsibilities. I'm not going to go through those, as I'm sure you've prepared by reading the packet. So just to note, the city's marketing agency resigned effective March 15th, and the city's marketing and events manager resigned on March 31st. This left the city with only the interim city manager as staff to the TAC. And at the time that the staff report was being prepared, the TAC was going to discuss the city's marketing contract and proposals received for a short-term contract. They did meet on April 6th and recommend that very short-term contracts be initiated for public relations with Stiletto Marketing and a social media marketing contract with Islet Agency. Those are at $2,800 a month for the Stiletto and $3,500 a month for social media, and the duration of those was through the end of the fiscal year, so June 30. And then just kind of a brief, the marketing events manager gave her notice of resignation in early March. Her last day was March 31st. The city did advertise the job opening through LinkedIn, Government Jobs, and the city website with a closing date of March 31st. We received 42 applications for the position, and staff was working towards setting up interviews when the council directed staff to bring this item up for council discussion. So the special event permitting portion of the position is currently assigned to a staff member in the Recreation Department that was previously doing the permitting for special events, and so we wanted to keep that active. So we do have someone handling that piece of it. And I did list the first paragraph of the job description that the council had previously approved to kind of discuss what the position is. I'll just state that. Under the general direction of the city manager, the marketing manager will manage operations and activities for Solvang USA Visit Solvang, including marketing contract management, visitor center contract management, sales, special events, and budgeting specific to tourism. All programs are designed to position Solvang as a premier year-round vacation destination by attracting visitors to the area, increasing occupancy rates and tourism spending, and maximizing the number of off-season and return visitor trips. Booking leisure business into the hotels is of great importance, as this is the majority party of this role. The position is classified as an at-will position. So with that, open that up for council discussion and staff direction. As I said, we were getting about ready to do some interviews for the marketing manager position, but with the request to discuss it, we did stop that currently. So we're looking for further direction on that. That would conclude my staff report.
Questions or comments?
No questions.
Brad, I have I don't think that we're missing a couple things on the job description, but I don't think that means necessarily that we change it. Let me explain what I mean. The challenges we've had on marketing and tech and our contractor over the last few months have exposed some gaps. And one of them in particular is technically related on our management of our website, our Facebook page, and any of the tools that either anybody who would be supporting the city in a marketing endeavor has access to or visibility to. So what my main question is what if we either need to decide if that is going to be a requirement of the to be hired marketing manager, or if we have robust enough team or processes to ensure our website, our Facebook pages, our digital platforms, and the tools that support them are actually appropriately cared for and managed. It's just a technical line item, but I genuinely don't think we organizationally have a structure for that, since we outsource for all of our IT, and it's not in the manager's description right now. So simply acknowledging a gap.
Any other questions for the staff report?
I had a question, Brad. You said that we had 2 short-term recommendations
Yeah.
from the TAC?
Yeah, they did.
And they were for, I'm sorry, what companies?
Stiletto was to do PR for the next few months, Stiletto Marketing, who has previously done some work for the city when I think it was IDK was the advertising firm, and Islet, who also had done some work previously for the city, and that would be for the social media marketing.
So one was PR and the other was social media.
Right.
Thank you.
I have another question. So if we go for these 2 agencies, obviously we need to talk about what are we gonna do regarding a marketing manager and what are they gonna do. While we figure that out, if we do hire these 2 firms to do our marketing for the time being, who is going to oversee what they do?
Us. Well, that's going to be, the city manager is the only person left at staff without a marketing manager. And then the TAC would have the oversight also to report to.
Mhm.
Through the city manager.
Okay, thank you.
If there's no other comments, we'll now take, I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
just real quick, can you identify at the last TAC meeting, there was a resignation? Is that correct?
There was not a formal resignation. The chair did leave the meeting. So I have not gotten a formal resignation from the chair.
So we will need to address that this evening then.
Then I have a question as well. The person that did not formally leave leveled some accusations of malfeasance, if you will, against the Abbey agency and the marketing manager. Have these things been investigated, and what came out of it?
So I think Councilmember Arona talked about whether definition of audit versus assessment
Correct.
of what
That's a
was
good point.
paid. So there was I did a review with Cheryl before she left on most of the items, and, you know, there are pieces that are missing in what they delivered, and so there probably should be some discussion as to, you know, the full value of service.
Okay.
So.
On that point, we really need an assessment of what Abby actually delivered and what they invoiced us for. And from my seat, from the things that I have seen, that has not been delivered either internally or to the TAC as yet. And they've been asking for it since February, I believe. And the city has fumbled this. We need to deliver the content against the invoice to the TAC. Hopefully, they can actually do the job they've been attempting to, and to, you know, the complete view of staff, so we can see. I think there are many people who suspect Abby did not deliver or perform, but we don't have the details to confirm that. And we've got to execute on that, mainly because at the end of the day, we all work for the public. The public needs to have visibility, since this has been widely detailed in the press. The public deserves to know how their money was actually spent. At this point, we need to deliver on that.
No other comments? In that case, we'll go to public comment, and I have one from Denise Elamine.
Wow, Elizabeth, thank you for that. I'm here as the public. My money is being spent, and I agree. The first thing I feel that you guys needed IT tech that was fired by the 2019 gang, 2018 gang. They fired the entire, almost all of the employees, and the attorney who's back, and nothing is being done. You cannot fix a problem from the top. You can't just cover it up and think it's going to go away. I went to the last TAC meeting, and some of these TAC members have been here since time was time, and they still say the same thing. Let's just move forward. Let's just move forward. At some point, you can't move forward. You're going to have to look backwards and clean up your mess before you can go forward. If you guys want to go forward, then move some of these people who can't go backwards off the tax. Stop appointing the same people to the same committees every single year. Move them forward and let them go on with their businesses and go on with their lives. But if we keep recycling these same people who are around year after year, when we are having problems with money and how money is being spent, then they need to follow their own advice and move on to something else in Solvang that they can help with. They are no longer viable on these committees. And until you start recycling, stop recycling, and put some new faces on these committees that you appoint, we can't vote there. You give your biases, you appoint your friends, and you appoint these same people who are making the same mistakes over and over and over because they are your friends, your business people in this community. We need to move past it. Get some new people in this Solvang, whatever you guys got going here. And then we may get something done. But if you keep recycling, don't even talk about it because we're going to keep losing money and I'm going to have to keep coming here. And I'm tired of coming here every week. So can we move on and get some new people on the committees and move forward, get out of this mess? Because hiring a PR firm, I'm telling you, we can pay as much money as we want to get ahead of something. But if you treat people bad, burn up their flags, don't let them have them, you can PR yourself all you want. They're still going to be upset. So you need to try to do what these people here, residents, want to have done, and stop trying to PR yourself out of it. Do the right thing.
Thank you very much. Brenda Ball?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. It's an honor to speak to you this evening. I've been involved in Solvang's tourism since 2006, and I'm a digital marketing. That's my career, so I thought I might have 5 short points to give you, in my humble opinion, what could help heal Solvang's marketing dilemma. Number 1 is leadership. Solvang needs a tourism marketing leader. I suggest hiring a marketing consultant to provide leadership and professional guidance and oversight and implementation and analysis regarding marketing and communication programs designed to attract tourists to Solvang. Solvang needs a marketing guru with the leadership who can pull the multiple facets together so that we can market Solvang, to use Solvang's tourism dollars wisely and effectively. Number 2, the budget. The tourism budget. I recommend that you conduct a SWOT analysis, discover the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats to the current marketing of Solvang with a small ad hoc committee. Then develop an interim tourism budget. Traditionally, the draft budget was turned into the city by the end of March. I recommend the estimated budget percentages as 65% digital, which includes the website, social media, email marketing, PR, display ads, digital. 20% to TV and radio, and 10% to print. I'm aware that doesn't come up to 100%, but there's always the additional pieces. Number 3, the website. Tourism website. The most important aspect of marketing Solvang is the solvangusa.com website. The reason for this is all the other facets of marketing all lead back to that website, because most of all the other advertising or marketing pieces are so limited. They have 30 seconds or maybe as much as 2 minutes. But those lead back to the website, which has unlimited capability, where the people can find updated lodging information, unlimited inspiring content, history and culture, attractions, dining, shopping, and much more. And this can be displayed continually. May I have a little more?
A little more, go ahead. Quick.
I'm sorry, I talk a little slow because I run out of breath. The website helps the visitor to plan their trip in a more successful fashion to benefit Solvang, because they can see that there's so much more to do here, and that will cause them to want to stay longer. Number 4 is collaboration, tourism collaboration. I recommend that Solvang collaborate with the local nonprofits, the chambers of commerce, the business associations, and other tourism entities to discover when Solvang needs to have events and when Solvang needs to have promotions, thus reducing competing events and redundancy while improving the marketing efficiency and providing wide use of allotted funds. And the last one, number 5, is reporting. Tourism results reporting. Why not select 4 major goals immediately for marketing Solvang? This ensures a method for monitoring success. These goals, if updated semi-annually and reviewed monthly or bi-monthly, can help Solvang maintain on-track marketing processes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Anybody else want to make a comment on this particular item? Do you have anybody on Zoom that's got a hand up that wants to talk on this item? No? Okay, in that sorry, we've got...
Not on that topic.
Not on that topic. All right, that's different. Then let's move back to the council then. Do we have any last comments on this particular issue? Now, remember, this issue covers several things. Possible action regarding the Tourism Advisory Committee, the Marketing and Events Manager position, and anything else around those items. Yes, sir.
I have comments. Okay, my comments are, Brenda made some very good points. My comments are I would like to wipe the slate clean, start from scratch, keep social media, pay a minimal amount of this large amount we were paying for marketing to keep our social media active. While we clean this slate, we disband the TAC, we put an ad hoc committee together of council members and get serious professionals on the TAC. I'm thinking in particular of one hotel manager that is brilliant in one of the highest generating TOT hotels in Solvang, who's also LGBT, and one merchant on Copenhagen Street that has hotel and marketing experience. I think there's enough qualified people in this town to get together that care enough about this town to really make the TAC something a step, 2 steps, 3 steps above where it has been. I want to wipe the entire slate clean. We don't have a marketing agency, we don't have a marketing manager, and I think we should stop and disband the TAC and start this whole thing from scratch. If you guys want to have a workshop, that's great. If you want to have community involvement, that's great. But let's wipe this slate clean. I'm thinking of a specific ad agency that helps what I thought was one of our competitors on the Central Coast. And I ended up speaking with that city manager, and he goes, "We're not competitors, we're all partners." and it's their ad agency, and I'm not going to bring the name up now, but there's some really, really good people that are doing some really great work in cities in the Central Coast that we should be looking at, as opposed to somebody in Reno or somebody whoever knows where. That's my from here on, ad hoc committee, disband the TAC, and spend time getting serious marketing and hotel and putting heads in beds, professionals involved in steering Solvang's marketing and tourism advisory, if you will. Those are my comments.
Thank you.
I do have some comments. I think we should consider the possibility of bringing back the Solvang CBB. If not the Solvang CBB, because it's stuck in legal limbo because of things that none of us did here. I thought that having the Tourist Advisory Committee overseeing what a marketing manager does, which oversees what all of these different contractors are doing, was a similar model to the Solvang CBB. I am very skeptical about bringing back consultants that bring in a package that says that they're ready to rock and roll and bring in a great marketing program if we don't have a person that is constantly engaged with them and checking that they are delivering what they promised. And, you know, if we do have a good marketing manager, somebody that understands websites, social media, somebody that can go out to the community and local nonprofits and engage them in the efforts and special events that we're having, if it's somebody that can see what we need, is familiar with the resources available for marketing, you know, this person might very well say, we can do everything in-house, or we only need these separate contracts, and we don't need a whole agency that comes to the tune of $300,000, $600,000 a year. I agree that we need to do something. Perhaps we put together, you know, a marketing effort that gets us through the season, gets us through the year until we figure out what it is that we're doing. While we see who's gonna, who's gonna be our resource of wealth, who is gonna be responsible for overseeing what the marketing effort is. But before we jump into buying, paying for a big price tag, one size fits all package, that we make sure that we have somebody that's going to be accountable for this. I like the model of the Solvang CBB. You have a board of directors comprised of local hoteliers and shop owners and, you know, people that are familiar with the flow of tourism here. And then you have one person that is responsible for executing all of it, comes here and reports what efforts are being done. And I'm not saying that, you know, I was completely happy about what the Solvang CBB did. I think it's great to question what anybody's doing with public funds, but I like the fact that this was locally based and they were easily reachable and they could easily be held accountable. And those are my thoughts.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Sure.
Mr. City Attorney, do you remember what the dollar amount was that the SCBB was asking for right before they were terminated? Was it $850,000?
The number 800 jumps to my recollection, but I don't remember.
880? 830 was what they were asking for to promote Solvang for a year, for 1 year.
Oh, yeah, they were very expensive, and
Very
I'm not
expensive.
convinced that there was a lot of issues.
And
around
then, and I was part of that council, and
The way
it
it
was
got-
not a popular deal.
The way it got
but it was
trashed
an
was
awful
not-
lot of money to be spending, and what a lot of residents thought, it was like $800,000 to run around, do trade shows, and we got a whole lot of tour buses that spent X amount of time, whatever. That's why I like your idea, Claudia, very much, as far as having that board to oversee something like that, but some people with some real stake in Solvang So I think there could be a collaboration here that could work very well as long as we go slow. I know we can't go too slow. Merchants depend on tourists and heads in beds, but you make some very good points as well.
So my understanding is some of the businesses actually do their own marketing, in particular the hotels.
Oh, shocking.
Which is a bit of a comment, and I really am not trying to cast dispersions with my comment here, but marketing is something that everyone's going to have an opinion about, and we may or may not be right. What's a good approach? And then I would ask everyone to just do a gut check. Is this really our area of expertise? And if
Good point.
perhaps we're good at, perhaps people come to Solvang because Solvang's just a strong brand and it's a great place to be, and whatever marketing we do may or may not have an outcome or an effect. What's one thing that Brenda said is probably the most important thing we could be doing, and that is getting reporting, because we need some data on the efficiency and effectiveness for the dollars spent, not necessarily what we're doing on campaigns, but the dollars spent and what do we get in return for that. My concern about wiping the slate clean and asking for great experts, it's either going to cost us or we're going to really ask for some rock stars to come and dedicate and commit their time for free. And I just wonder if that's really going to happen. So I think what we could be doing is some very small steps for PR. That's an agency who can write good copy and knows who to push the PR out to, right? Which media contacts, and do they have the reach that we really need? So PR seems like a easy checkbox. Social media, probably the same thing, but there's outstanding questions. Are we going to use our existing content? Are we going to stick to our current campaigns that Abby created for us, right? Which is like Denmark, but closer. And are we going to simply ask those social media providers, Islet, to just do created content, right? Or earned content from influencers who are walking around town? I don't know those answers. So we don't still know if we're getting good results for the dollars we're spending. And right now, probably we just need to do some small tactical things. So here's what I would suggest is, could we get really serious about hiring our marketing manager. Marketing manager is really going to act as quarterback, and they're probably going to bring some expertise that we all could listen to and we need. And that quarterback is for partners, for any other entities, whether it's TAC or a VBB entity that we create, the businesses and other partners that we want to work with, like Visit SYV. So that to me is, do we have a process to qualify, identify, and hire a good candidate when we know a good candidate when we get one? And can some of these volunteers who do have expertise on TAC or outside in the community help us vet and ensure we get a good candidate? And then the third would be, we've got to do that assessment. The assessment is not just of our technical stack, but what's working right now. Do we have reporting? Do we have content? And what budget is remaining that we actually have to work with for the rest of the FY? And then I'll throw something out there, because it seems like we all have an opinion with the best intentions, which means we've got to do something for the businesses and for Solvang tourism. We're all going to have an opinion. But what if we did a study group, which is a collaboration of participants from the TAC, from the right expertise in the business, people like Brenda who've been around and helping us, council members who care and want to get involved, and get in a workshop structure and prioritize these things that we should be doing, that give us results, that may or may not cost us money, and that we can rebuild this approach in a forum with a structure and that's collaborative, but generates a very specific output. And we have that study group structure that will let us do that. And we can do it in public.
We'd have to do it in public. Both the committee and the council are Brown Act. So that would limit it to, if we weren't in public, that would limit it to 2 people from each organization to be part of that committee. So my thought process on this follows along with what I've been hearing for the most part, but there's 2 problems. One is, if we're gonna hire a marketing manager, you're not gonna have it done in 30 days. Or 60 days, maybe, if you were lucky. That all depends on how quick they can leave whatever position they're in, come into ours. So we have this time frame right in the middle of the peak of our tourist season coming up that we can't really wait. So I like the tax suggestion that we hire those 2 organizations for 2 months. That gets us at least something out there being done in social media for the next 2 months while we go out and find a marketing manager. And I think we need to add an events manager. So it's not marketing and events. We ran into that problem with Cheryl. So we probably ought to be hiring 2 different people, I think. But, you know, and there's a couple ways to do all of that. But the primary thing I'm thinking of is we're stuck right here. I don't want to kill the TAC, so I will disagree with Councilman Clark. My suggestion was that we suspend them for a couple of months while we figure out what we're doing. But then I had a couple people make the point that maybe you should use their expertise. I'm not a marketing person. I don't think any of us are really good marketing people. So we need to have some marketing expertise. So if we bring in these 2 organizations, and literally every month, or even every city council, they come up and tell us what's being done and what's going on and what are the measurements that you referred to. How's it going? What is the PR that you've done? What media buys have you done? How many likes do you have, or whatever it is you do in social media? We need to have that going on while we lay out the plan for everything else we're going to do. I don't want to just cut off everything and stop. I think that's a mistake, and I don't think we can recover fast enough to help the city. It's my understanding that Brad has rounded up some excellent people to help select our marketing manager, including Shelby Sims from.
That's a good, I think that's a good first step.
And so we have to get that process going, but at the same time, we cannot not do some marketing. I just don't think we can stop everything. We have to keep it going, and that's what the TAC is saying with their suggestions, that we hire these 2 organizations relatively inexpensively for the next 2 months and let them come up every meeting and tell us what we're doing. And if we don't like what they're doing, we'll get rid of them. And then if we're going to put out an RFP for a marketing contract, who's going to write the RFP? We're going to use the same one we did before? I don't know that that's a bad idea, but that's something I would like a marketing manager to tell me, because I'm not that bright about it, intelligent about it, knowledgeable about it, pick your word.
Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about marketing Solvang, because I've been out there walking the streets, giving tours for about 14 years.
You've been riding the
for about
streets.
14 years. So I can tell you that this is a multidisciplinary approach. Yes, you have the people like me that, don't care about print, don't even use websites for booking. We see pretty pictures of cool people doing cool stuff, and then we follow their social media and say, I want to do it because I want to be relevant. But at the same time, I also get a certain kind of people that are calling the phone, calling the visitor center, saying, hey, I want to talk to a person. I want to know when things are open. I want to know what there is to do. Are you open on Easter Sunday? Where else can I go after I eat Ebel's Keepers? And then there are the people that are, booking trips, that they are reading the guides, and that might be a minority, but the right marketer will know how all of that works and how to split your efforts. Some of us will say that, Solvang is a brand that is out there and is well known. We do not need to spend a lot of money on marketing, on print that is gonna go to the recycle bin. We need to invest on the experience. We need to make sure that the city is pretty, that the buildings are kept, that you have flowers that are not wilted, that somebody picks up the phone, that the stores are open when people are here, and the experience alone feeds your word of mouth, and that gets you more visitors. So this is, it's not an easy answer, but these are all things that should be considered. How are we gonna come up with a consensus? I really think that we need to involve both the TAC, the council, members of the community, anybody that has something to say, and we come up with a plan and somebody that's going to be held accountable for it. I like the idea of keeping, social media and PR active. As far as putting heads in beds, we have lots of people that are, working on that, not only the visitor center and also the Chamber of Commerce that also do an effort for putting the word out there, but we also have the Visit SYB promoting the hotel, so it's not like we're doing nothing.
And that's one of the things, to go back to Elizabeth Arona's comment, is Shelby, that runs Visit SYB, can bring in tremendous amounts of knowledge of how many residents there are, how many booked through his websites to the hotels, how many hotels. All that data is available, and I'm sure Shelby would come and share it with us. He's very amenable to those kind of things.
Yeah, and also I will say that doing a full audit of what the effort is going to ensure that we're not paying twice for the same service. If we are working with Visit SYB that are, putting the word out there, well, then do you really need another agency who is trying to put the word out there and get bookings?
And I would agree. And Mr. Brown, you want to say something, I can tell.
He's the only one that hasn't yet.
Well, I'm listening, and I learn more by listening than talking. The way my perceptions here so far is that we have two tracks, or we have the long game and the short game. Short game, we got to do something and initiate some contracts on a short-term basis, whether it be PR, social media, and maybe we take on those recommendations that the TAC put out, and or maybe we have another one. But I would delegate that to our city manager, quite honestly, right away, to evaluate what's what.
Job one.
Go forward. And then with regards to the long game, I agree that maybe a workstation or something along those lines might be valuable with TAC, and I think probably how should we say, a reprieve or sabbatical for them, if you will, at the present time. Not to disengage them, but to, if you will, keep your powder dry, as a metaphor. And with regards to additional RFPs, I think that, again, the city manager can work on that. What I'm not sure of, I'm not sure that hiring another employee for this is best. I think that we can contract or get a good independent contractor, somebody to handle this and be accountable for that leadership, as Ms. Bald eloquently presented. So having another staff person to do this is, in my opinion, is questionable. I think it can be done. Similar to our attorney who has, we don't have an attorney on staff. One might consider him to be on staff. He's here so much, but he's not. So I think we can have that same expertise in the tech world, and I think it would be better, because tech is moving so fast all the time. It might be better to have somebody that we can have at our beck and call, or at the desire of the city council.
Let me ask a question, if I may. municipalities are great at hiring consultants for everything that comes across their brain. Would it make any sense to spend, as we do for many, many other things, to hire a consultant to bring him in and discuss this, to give us some professional direction without giving somebody a contract? I'm just throwing that out. What do you think?
Well, we have the work, or the what was it called? The game plan that,
The marketing
strategic
plan.
that,
Marketing plan.
the person that just left, Audie or Abby just did, so see how, if they're that good at marketing, I should remember their name, right? But,
Spit it out.
yeah, that's it. So I'm thinking that, and this might be part of the short game, to have somebody in leadership for the marketing.
You know what, there's a couple of local residents that I'm thinking of again, that could be that consultant that would probably do it for free. But everybody here has made salient and important, interesting points. It's like throw them in a bag and pull out the 8 best. All of us, I think, maybe not me, have made very good points about the direction Solvang needs to take. But and we all have some different opinions. I don't know where to go with this.
So I think we're close. We're getting closer because we have some short-term objectives, which I like the way you kind of drawn a line, Dave, that we're just like, let's make a decision on some short-term, immediate things that we can do right now, which is hire PR and hire social media. Let's make a tactical decision and get something moving forward.
Do I hear a motion?
And then,
Do you want to explore a consultant?
Okay,
well, wait,
no,
hold on,
I don't
hold
want
on.
to. No, I don't
All
want to
right.
pay any more money to anybody that
Fine.
out of town that doesn't
Or
know.
what if it doesn't cost any money?
exactly. We don't need
Well, then
another.
that's not hiring a consultant. That's
Okay, consulting with a consultant.
I would. So I was going to get to that, but I don't think. I mean, you get what you pay for. So if it's free, it's certainly not permanent, and they won't be in position for the delivery of whatever we decide on.
No, but the person that I'm thinking of,
I know who you're thinking of too, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Okay, so how come,
Let's-
why
let's
are,
go-
why are
okay,
we, why are we
let's-
here where we are right now? If somebody was willing to dig us out of this,
Because I don't think didn't want to hear this person's comments before. I think people
Let-
were receptive to that.
Let's start one thing at
Okay.
a time.
Gotcha.
So can we, I would still advocate for hiring a marketing expert because it's permanent, they're invested, we've got it in the budget, and they can quarterback and organize and oversee in an area that's honestly, the city construct is not built for marketing.
The actual staff position you're talking about?
Right,
Or you want to
right.
hire
So
the
we
staff
need-
position
We need a
first?
staff position. No, I don't think that's going to be possible. I think we need to make the tactical, short-term decisions with PR and a social media
Okay, I'm there. I'm with you on that.
contractor, while we in parallel go get the city manager. I'm not city manager, sorry, marketing manager. Just trying to advocate for
Good
the
point, though.
permanent staff position because 98 cities in the state of California, maybe 2, have this role. So it's not shocking we're not great at this. It's disappointing, but we need that anchor position in the organization structure. That would be my.
We need to,
my
okay, we need to
strong arm.
prioritize this real
But
quick.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I apologize, but we also want to would we want to, I'm not saying postpone this, but get the new city manager on in this discussion?
We would absolutely, when it comes to the long-term marketing manager and
Okay,
things
all
of
right,
that nature.
got it, gotcha. Short term, I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you do your short term.
What I'd like to
And I'll go
ask
along with it.
is, can I get a motion that says that we follow the TAC advice and hire those 2 organizations to do PR and social media?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
That was easy.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Arona,
yes.
Councilmember Elizabeth Arona,
Yes.
Mayor Infante.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, it's a start.
Okay, so that is direction to our city manager to go hire those 2 organizations for the 2-month period that the TAC suggested. Okay? And I would like to put in that contract, please, that they come and report to us every city council meeting for the next 2 months. That's 4 of them. I mean, it's not a big deal. So that we know what's going on and what's happening and can ask silly questions because we don't know what we're doing. Sorry, I don't know what I'm doing.
No, you can add me.
Okay, so that was step 1. We hire the 2 contractors, that's the short term. Now, the next subject, if I may, is the marketing manager hiring. Are we going to continue to pursue hiring a marketing manager?
I like the idea of having a marketing manager, somebody that's not the city manager or somebody in public works or somebody that's just kind of volunteering to oversee this effort. But I want to bring them in when we have proper leadership in place and we have, you know, a group that's going to advise them and say, and work with them so that their performance is effective. We shouldn't bring somebody that's just going to get caught on the head.
What I think I'm hearing is, yes, a marketing manager, but we want them to be brought in under the new city manager so that we have a long-term understanding of what's going on.
Are we gonna explore the possibility of bringing the Solvang CBB back? We either need that or we need the tech, but we cannot have them working on their own whim.
I would agree, and I'm going to ask everybody else before I open my mouth. Do you want to try and bring back the SCVB? That's establishing a whole organization, which I don't think we can do here.
Well, if I can give you a little history on SCVB, although it was funded by the city, it was a separate corporation.
Yeah.
Still is a separate corporation. It's in the process of being wound down. The 2 remaining officers are 2 former city council members. Former Mayor Toussaint and former Councilmember Johnson. They're in the process of closing that business down, but the city did not have direct oversight over the SCVB other than through funding because it was a separate corporation with its own board of directors and its own employees. If the city council is interested in pursuing something like that, it might be trying to get some citizens to put together such a corporation. City could form a corporation like that, but it's not clear to me that there would be any benefits from doing it as a separate corporation as opposed to just a department of the city with a marketing manager. So it depends on what goals you're looking for in a separate corporation like that.
Okay. So we'll go back to that then.
I would rather see a marketing manager with a TAC.
I don't have a problem with that. I just like the idea of having kind of a board or committee and then a person that's responsible for executing.
It's nomenclature. It's technically it's going to be the same thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, but it sounds like is it SVBB or
SVB.
CB, whatever. It sounds like that's going to
Yeah,
cost money.
Conference and
It sounds like
Visitors
that
Bureau.
costs money. And
Well, everything is gonna cost, I mean, yeah, it's gonna cost money to, you know, for them to form and everything. It might be more of a bureaucratic nightmare right now. Well, we have a committee and we have the position, so it might just be, it's essentially the same thing. Yeah, it's just a different legal or organization. But
Except we're not funding a separate organization. What we have is the TAC, who will actually talk about compensation for them later on.
And
Okay.
perhaps this is a conversation that we can have with the TAC and anybody that wants to chime in at a separate meeting. You know, let's tackle this down.
I agree with that. Let's move on.
Okay, so
Let's do that.
at this point in time, you want to avoid this subject, or do you
I-
move that we have a city manager and a TAC, and then?
Okay, I want to make a motion that, I want to give staff direction that we have a joint meeting with, you know, council and TAC and anybody else that wants to,
Public meeting.
public meeting where we can,
Like a workshop?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, let's have a workshop on.
I'd be open to it.
That's the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Elizabeth Arona.
yes.
Mayor Infante.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, so we'll have a public planning session.
And if I could add again, we received really several thoughtful emails from residents related to this. I was really happy to read those and to see people that get it and wanted to share their expertise or their comments with us. I think that was really neat to see that community involvement in this.
Now, what we have just done by definition of saying we're going to have this meeting is we're not dissolving or even postponing or anything else the TAC. It's going to stay as is so that we can plan this joint session.
Okay.
We
that's
all
fine.
agree with that?
The only thing I think it was pointed out, maybe subtly, and let's get explicit, do we want the TAC to continue on their agenda meetings, or do we want the TAC to spend their volunteer time in this workshop? There's not really anything,
Suspend
there's not really
until-
anything, no, we asked them instead to support the workshop, but there's not, until we complete the workshop, whatever we're calling it.
But we're all together doing it.
Yes.
So I think would be
Yes.
great.
Yes.
So they
I
don't
think I
have
would
any
like
other
to-
meetings except the workshop at this time?
I'd be okay with that.
Does that make sense, Brad, from
Well,
setting it up?
makes
when-
real good sense because you're not going to really have any staff for the next TAC meeting because I'll
Yeah.
be going out and
That's
Randy will just be coming in.
Part
So,
of the problem of not having a marketing manager
So
or
you
anything
would-
else.
They could just not have a meeting until Randy's in place.
Well, but we want to have the workshop
Yeah, they
before.
could
But-
cancel the next meeting.
Well, we'll set that up.
Or do you want the workshop after Randy gets here? That's two.
It might be a good, I mean,
Yeah, it's 1 month. We're into the summer season. It's going to be busy anyway.
But we've got the two, we
we're
just
hiring.
agreed to hire the two
Yeah.
contractors, so we got something going on.
Well, then fine. Let's meet and then have bring Randy in when he gets here.
yeah.
I'm all right with that.
so cancel the next TAC and then plan a joint TAC council meeting.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, that.
planning session. Call it
Workshop.
marketing planning session,
Here
something
we
like
go.
that. How's that?
Sounds good.
With a public notice?
Of course.
How many more things are
Yeah,
there?
it will be a public meeting
particular
because you're going to be a joint, you're going to be the whole council.
Yeah, I really want it to be public because I want to be able to, everybody express their ideas and
Yeah.
thoughts with the public so there's no brown X, nothing. We can
Right.
really get down to work.
Okay. Now, I have to go back to the attorney. What do we do about the chairman of the TAC who walked out of the meeting saying, "I'm done," but didn't actually officially resign? Is she still on the TAC for now? Do we collectively say she is no longer on the TAC?
And do a replacement?
That's something we'll have to do eventually if we have to go through applications again, but yeah, I think.
Well, Council, if I can just interject very quickly, it talks about in the agenda item, discussion and possible action on the Tourism Advisory Committee and the Marketing Events Manager position. It wasn't explicitly discussed about the specific chairperson, I think in part because that happened after the agenda was posted. So I would be a little reluctant to have a large substantive discussion that ends in action at this point. You can certainly talk about it because I think it is within the parameter of the agenda item about the TAC status. But I would caution you that if you are intending to consider final action on the chairperson's status, that maybe you agendize that for a separate meeting where that can be covered. Because the chairperson may wish to come and speak, and she may not have anticipated, given the agenda description, that that would be an issue on this agenda.
Gotcha. Please.
If we may, during the workshop, I think it would be prudent to look at our TAC requirements or nominating the people that are on it and their list of duties and what we're looking for. I think a lot of misdirection, if you will, was interpreted, but, I think they went on a lot of chasing rabbit holes, if you will. And if we can be a little more specific as to what we're looking for from that TAC, I think it'd be
Isn't
prudent for everybody.
Councilmember Brown, isn't that already in writing, what's expected from the TAC?
I'm saying it's obviously not followed, or it's not clear, or we wouldn't be in this situation, I don't think.
Okay.
So I'd like to review it when we have those workshops.
Great.
That's all I'm saying.
I'm all on board with that.
Okay.
Okay.
So we make that part of the workshop, please?
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
So I'm sorry, but did we make a decision on the city manager, the marketing manager hire?
No,
I was
thank you.
just going to ask that.
All right, so the next question then is, are we in favor of hiring a city manager? Yes or no?
Marketing manager.
I'm sorry, marketing manager.
You already did that earlier.
Yeah, we did that, yeah.
You did?
I'd be reluctant because right now,
So would I.
there'd be no onboarding, there'd be no duties or, accountability to who?
And then it would get into the same situation we were in before.
Yeah, let's
What-
not-
What are my goals?
I don't
What are
want to
my-
set somebody else, I don't want to set somebody up for failure.
Very good point. I say no then. Hold off.
Brad, do you think we can still, if we postpone or delay for, say, 60 days, do you think we'll still get the commitment from the committee hiring
Yeah, I hadn't gotten
experts that
dates
you
and
had
stuff, but
assembled?
Yeah, I still think you're going to be able to still get the same panel.
So you'll be gone,
All local people.
but we'll need a handoff from you.
I can
Okay.
use my contacts to try to convince
And he's
them.
pretending that he cares.
We still have his phone number.
I know, but he's not going to answer it. Pound sand, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
I
so
agree, we should delay as long as we aren't
I agree.
compromising our ability to execute.
agree that we will delay the hiring of the marketing manager
Yeah,
until we have the new city manager in?
I agree.
Okay, so we'll bring that up with him when he takes over the seat that Brad's filling right now for no real reason. Sorry, just giving you some grief.
Okay.
All right,
One more request.
Yeah,
Because
please.
projecting what that workshop will be like, could we have staff's help giving us that assessment, some material and content that would support the workshop agenda? That would include what budget's left, what content we got, what's the technical state of our Facebook or website, almost a rundown, I'll call it an assessment or a health check of where we are today, current state.
On that note, I did want to bring to the council's attention that sometime in the last week or so, I believe Mayor Infante, Mr. Vidro, and I were all removed from the city's Facebook page. I'm not sure why. I've tried to get in touch with Ms. Wilson about it and find out what's going on, but I've not received any calls back. I did look for it this evening to see if it was still active on Facebook, and I wasn't able to find it. So we'll try to get you an update on that
Yeah, let's see
information.
if we can get that
Thank
solved.
you.
Yeah.
okay, so I believe that concludes item 6C. Yeah, moving right along at a rapid rate, oh yeah. All right, I'm sorry? Yes, sir.
Could I approach you made a mistake tonight.
I made a mistake. I do that from time to time. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Can I come up there?
Yes, please. Make it brief, please.
I will, very brief. You made a statement tonight about Lammy Johnstone and where the funeral is going to be. I don't know
Yes.
who gave you the information, but you said the Lutheran Church.
No, I said Bethania
Bethania.
Church.
Okay, Bethania Church. Her funeral is at Old Mission Santa Ynez. We are Catholic individuals.
Thank you.
Okay?
That was my mistake, and I apologize.
Certainly
I
was.
was given the wrong
Thank
information.
God I got a text message from somebody that let me know what you said.
What time is that, sir?
11 o'clock in the morning.
11 o'clock. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for the pause of silence in memory of her. Both you and Claudia have been over her house talking business to her, okay? Thank you.
I apologize.
Was there one more?
Okay. Item 6D, please. Madam
Discussion-
Clerk.
Discussion and possible action to approve the purchase of real property located at 410 Second Street for Santa Ynez Valley Transit SYVT office use and future city uses.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This item is for discussion to talk about the potential purchase. On November 14th, the City Council approved the hiring of Hamner Jewell and Associates, which is a firm that specializes in government acquisitions of property. They started work and produced an assessment of the property. And on February 27th, we brought City Council in closed session. City Council authorized the city manager to to begin negotiations, to start negotiations on the property. The property does fulfill a current need for the offices for St. Ynez Valley Transit, who is currently looking for a permanent home. And it also provides some future options for the city with a property that has some high potential and is in proximity to basically the city civic center, which is City Hall, the annex, and parking lot number 4, which is currently in design to become parking lot for the buses, but also city staff parking as well for city vehicles. So the property is ideally located. It is a just over 9,000 square foot lot. There is an office building, which would be the future home for SYVT. It's about 1,370 square feet. And then there is a residential building with a bunch of amenities that is about 1,600 square feet. The total negotiated price was $1.1 million. And staff is proposing there is available funding from the capital funds for SYVT transit funds. Staff is proposing about $500,000 to go towards the purchase, and the remainder of the purchase to come from city general funds, which would be $600,000. So the action tonight is to approve the purchase agreement. The agreement includes a 40-day due diligence, which would give the city the opportunity to get in there and take a look at the property and see if there's any deal killers, anything that is really systems that aren't working or structural or otherwise. And then the escrow will be coordinated by the city's contractor, Hamner Jewell. That concludes city's staff's presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions, anybody?
I have a question. With regards to those inspections, are they going to be done by city? Are they going to do you have other contractors doing them? And what might those include besides? It is a structure, so I assume that will you do a phase 2, or will you do a environmental report on it, or anything along those lines? Or?
We're happy to pursue anything you would like. What we are going to look into doing is to make sure that that the structure is structurally sound, that there's no major termite damage or any other issues. We weren't planning on doing any sort of review of lead paint or anything else, any other environmental concerns, but we certainly can do that, just so that we know what we're getting into.
I don't know the history of that lot as far as what else was on it in the future, or past, excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't want to own another toxic waste. So.
I don't anticipate there being any. If there's oil under there, maybe that'd be a boon, right?
Well, are there mineral rights? More important, are there water rights? So
yeah. There you go. Well, there is a pool on site, and that one of the things that we would do is bring in a pool specialist to see what the viability of the pool and the mechanical systems for that are, to make sure that the heaters work and the pumps are working, that sort of thing, and what kind of improvements would need to be made in order to make it potentially a possible recreation facility if we wanted to do swim lessons or something like that. If the city wanted to expand their recreation, that's one possibility. There are a number of different possibilities, but we haven't really been able to get any specialists in there until we approve this agreement and really get into the site and are able to visit the site and really kind of dig our teeth into it a little bit.
Are you overseeing those inspections?
I will be, yes.
Thank you.
Well, Roger, I just have a question on that. It's related to cost. So you typically inspections kind of, if there's some material correction or improvement required, it comes from the seller side. I want to make sure we're approaching the negotiation that way, and that if there are substantive costs that we would realize to update or modify the facility so it can be used in a different way, we want to make sure that we see what those projected costs are. 'Cause right now, you're just giving us a capital expense. That's all.
Okay. My reading of the agreement stipulates that it's the deal is as is. However, we do have this opportunity to take a look, and if there are items that we think are excessive, then we can walk away from the deal, at which point then we could reopen negotiations and say we think this deal's better for us because of what we found.
Okay, so the inspection is really to find something substantive and not anything.
Yeah, that is correct.
I can give you the language directly from the agreement. It says, if buyer notifies seller that buyer does not approve of the condition of the property and issues notice to terminate this agreement shall terminate without liability on the part of seller or buyer, and neither seller nor buyer shall have any further obligations under the agreement.
Okay, no more comments? Are you good?
I missed 4 minutes of this, and I apologize, but isn't this something that's done before we make this deal? As far as the what if there's any issues with the place, et cetera, we're going to enter the agreement and then have 40 days to say, it's not right.
As I understand it, the escrow is, the agreement's going to be entered into and the escrow is going to
Okay,
start.
standard
and then we
stuff,
have-
all right, fine. And you said
Then we have our opportunity.
it has a bunch of amenities, so I'm there. It was very technical. Okay.
No more questions?
No.
And then, in that case, we are listening to public comment. Ms. Elamine?
Okay. It's really comical. We can't agree on a marketing accounting, and we're actually going into real estate with Roger at the helm. This is crazy. You need one building for transportation, and you're buying a building and a house and a pool and a jacuzzi, as is, sight unseen. And I'm not sure if Roger is a real estate agent or any of you are, but don't spend the money and then sit up here on your pedestal and say, this is not my expertise. If it's not your expertise, vote no. Because I don't think the city of Solvang is ready to get into the property business and owning real estate that they really don't need. If we got $500,000 from transportation, then find a building that's $500,000 and put the transportation in there. They don't need to take a bath. They don't need to get in a pool. They don't need to get in a jacuzzi. Just find the one building. Why this building? The lady's only been deceased for just a little over a year. Joyce Noble, she hasn't been dead that long. It's in a trust. Is someone going to come up, which they probably will, a family member come up and say, you didn't give me enough time to claim my whoever's property? This woman was well known in this city, and everybody knew all of her business. So I know they know there's some people out there, and when they come back, what are you guys going to do? I'm reading here, it says you're going to do eminent domain. It's in here under judgment in lieu of deed. So is that what we're going to start doing now? The city's going to start doing eminent domain when people die and they don't have any heirs or any heirs that we feel they're worth getting this property for. We're just going to take it over because it's close. No, you guys really don't have the expertise to go down this alley. You really need to back up and just stay in your lane and do the marketing. Real estate's going to take you guys at a whole nother level, and we're going to need 2 attorneys sitting up here. We're going to need a real estate agent and our attorney that we have, and we are not ready for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have a comment? Anybody on Zoom have a comment? In that case, we'll bring it back to the council for last comments or a motion.
I move that we go forward with the acquisition as presented. And quite candidly, this is my expertise.
If I could just add, to include in your motion that the city council authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents to complete the purchase, because there'll be some other documents.
Yes.
Thank you.
Quick question. Dave, what was the second part of your comment? You moved to make the motion, and then you said, and this is your expertise?
That wasn't part of the motion. My expertise is in real estate.
Is in real estate?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, now, before we move, it is my understanding that this purchase was made as an option to the city, right? The city is not going out there trying to get real estate property. This was offered to the city. This is somebody's wishes that this could go to public use if the city deems it appropriate.
The Family Trust offered it, so, yeah.
Okay.
That's my understanding. Any other comments? Okay, we have a motion to approve this. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, you.
Ms. Claudia Rona seconds it. Vote, please.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Councilmember Claudia Rona.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Elizabeth Arona.
Yes.
Mayor Infante.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, that brings us to AB 1234 reports out and council closing comments. Do we have any reports or closing comments? No.
There's stuff coming up, but.
There's stuff coming up.
Yeah. Pass
But
it
in
over.
this case, I believe we are done. And look, we didn't even have to vote to extend the meeting.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
This meeting is adjourned at 9:20.